This is the Jagdtiger. It currently sits at the Tank Museum in Bovington, and it is modelled in-game in World of Tanks Modern Armour. What we're going to do is have a look at this incredible beast that you're seeing in front of your eyes from real life, have a look what it looks like and it's modelled in-game, have a look at the stats, do a review of how it plays in-game, and see what this vehicle is like. As you can see, the Jagdtiger has that 128mm gun. It is a tall tank in real life, and it is just iconic. So what does it look like in-game? Well, here is the Jagdtiger in-game in World of Tanks Modern Armour, and as you can see, it's one of those tanks that has always been the case for me, that you just look at it and go, that looks awesome, right? It's modelled so well. It's one of the older tanks in the game, and it is a very, very fun tank destroyer. And that is because, well, it's got this 128mm gun, which, if we're honest, this 128mm gun is absolutely phenomenal. 560 alpha, great penetration, great accuracy, and it just smashes out damage so quickly. It's one of those tanks that you can blink and then all of a sudden you've taken everyone's health and you go, whoa, I've done that, right? Its armor isn't that great anymore in terms of the upper plate, but it can ricochet shots off of that upper plate. It's not like it's Swiss cheese, but it's just not quite as good as it used to be back in the day. But you can still have an absolutely fantastic time in the old Jagdtiger. So, let's have a look at what I run in terms of equipment on it. Well, I run the advanced loader, the camo net, and optics. Optics to be able to spot for myself. As you can see, I've got my view range up to 499 meters of view range. The camo net to get it down to 287 meters of still concealment. It really helps me play that tank destroyer type role, where you can pull up into a bush and then just keep using this fantastic gun and fantastic DPM to your advantage. And the advanced loader to make the most of what is the fantastic DPM here on this Jagdtiger. And then in terms of a commander, I do run on it the Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Trap Mechanic, Steady Aim, Camouflage Expertise, Silent Driving, and Muffled Shot. I've been running all three camo perks just to make it so that I can stay as stealth for as long as possible, but to be honest, that might be just a little bit overkill, and you might want to either drop Silent Driving or Muffled Shot for something like clutch braking, because, well, realistically, the track traverse on the Jagdtiger isn't that great, so you really might want to help the track traverse out so you can at least turn quicker if anything tries to get round you. That is a more than valid perk to take, and I'd probably say it's probably better than taking something like Muffled Shot, if we're honest. You want to be taking Trap Mechanic in the Jagdtiger, though, because if you do get your tracks blown off, you want to be able to get them back on quicker if you can, so that you can keep up with the tank that's tried to get round you. And then all the other perks generally are what you're going to take. Well, these perks in particular are what you're going to take on every single tank in the game. So let's have a look at the statistics of the old Jagdtiger. Well, this old gal, because, you know, it is an old tank in this game. It's got 38 km/h top speed, with a 16 km/h reverse speed, and 870 horsepower engine, which has 11.59 horsepower per ton ratio, which means that you do hit 38 km/h top speed, but it's a little bit slow and sluggish to get there, is the Jagdtiger. Obviously, you're starting to build up to the tank that comes up after it, which is the Jagdpanzer 100, which is naturally very, very slow. This tank is, while it does hit its top speed, it does feel that little bit more sluggish because this power to weight is quite low. You have a 20% internal fire chance, which is on the higher end of fire chances, and it does tend to light up a little bit too easily because the engine block is in the front of the Jagdtiger, and that generally means that when people shoot you in your weak spot, which is your lower plate, or they go through your upper plate because the firing premium is a tier 10, they will end up breaking your engine and possibly setting you on fire through it. So it's something you've got to be very, very careful of in your Jagdtiger. You've got 1,800 hit points, though, which is a very good slab of hit points for a TD like the Jagdtiger. 21 degrees a second hull rotation speed is very slow hull rotation speed. It's very, very slow. This is why I say you might want to take clutch braking instead of the muffled shot, so that you can go at 23 degrees a second hull rotation speed, which is still not much faster, but every little helps. You got 2.2 on soft, 1.2 on medium, and 1.01 on firm in terms of the terrain resistances, which do hold you back a little bit, but to be honest, you want to focus on other stuff. You've got 287 meters of still concealment, though, which you've got it down to, which for a TD like this is pretty good. You've got 499 meters of view range, which means you won't get outspotted that easily in this vehicle, and especially paired with your good camo, means you will outspot quite a lot of tanks, which is great, because that means you can spot enemies at further distances and then make the most of the camo, and it'll take longer for them to spot you while you've spotted them, and can work them over with this absolute workhorse of a gun that the Jagdtiger has. You've got 28 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, even though it doesn't have a turret. That means the gun traverse speed. If you ever wonder what turret rotation speed matters on a turretless tank destroyer, it's actually talking about how fast the gun traverses from left to right. So it actually traverses very, very quickly. You've got 0.53 accuracy during rotation and 1.83 accuracy during movement, which is actually really not that bad for a tank destroyer, for a turretless tank destroyer like this. It means that the gun does not, or the aim circle on this gun does not bloom out that much at all, which is great. It means you're pretty much always ready to go in the Jagdtiger. You've got 7.5 degrees of gun depression. English is hard sometimes, people. 7.5 degrees of gun depression, which means that on a ridgeline, you can actually get a decent amount of gun depression on it. You can work it quite well with the Jagdtiger, accentuate your armor in regards of using that gun depression. Is it fantastic gun depression? No. But is it bad? Absolutely not. You've got a 10 degrees of yaw limit, so how far the gun traverses left to right, which again, it doesn't really hold you back too much on the Jagdtiger. 8.31 second reload with this build that we've got, which is 4,000 DPM. The DPM on this tank is so good. It shreds. It really, really does. For the alpha we have, it is a very nice gun, this Jagdtiger. Always has been. You got 0.27 accuracy with this build as well, which is really accurate. 2.12 second aim time with the build we've got. Again, the gun aims in pretty quickly. Adding to the fact that it doesn't bloom out that much, it's really, really nice for the Jagdtiger. You've got 276 penetration on the standard AP round, which is fantastic. 352 penetration on the premium APCR round, which is phenomenal. And then 65 penetration on the standard HE, for 560 damage on the standard and premium round, and 700 damage on the HE round. 1200 meters a second shell velocity on the standard AP, with 1500 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APCR. This APCR round, by the way, is absolute filth. It really, really is on this Tech Tree Jagdtiger. It absolutely butchers everything you will ever face. And add to that, if you're firing it as well at range, you don't have to give quite as much lead as you do with the standard round, because this 1500 meters a second shell velocity is phenomenal. Honestly, the Jagdtiger is one of those that is still really nice to play even now. It's kind of stood the test of time in that way. The only thing that really hasn't stood the test of time is the armor on it. Now, you've got 250 millimeters of armor on this upper superstructure, which is definitely nice for the Jagdtiger, but it's not really that well sloped, which means that most tier 10s firing premium will go straight through that superstructure, so be careful what you're facing against and what you feel confident in going against. But naturally, if you're using your gun depression, that's where it's going to be better effectively, right? And the upper plate is 185 millimeters thickness, which again is decent enough to ricochet quite a lot of shots from tier 7s, tier 8s, and even tier 9s, you know. But if they start to fire the 300 plus penetration rounds, they start to butcher your poor upper plate, and they'll probably break your engine as well. Same as the lower plate, which is garbage, which it should be. The lower plate should always be garbage. It's 100 millimeters thick, and if they go through that lower plate, again, your engine will probably end up getting damaged. And that is because your engine is here at the back of the tank, but it's always been the case with the German tanks that if, and I think it's probably something to do with the transmission, that basically, as soon as you get shut in the front, your engines break. And it's always been a pain for German tanks in that regard. The engine block is at the back, but yeah, you just tend to notice that you will get your engine knocked out quite a lot in this vehicle, which isn't too bad these days with the reusable repair kit, because you can just put it back in. Back in the day, it used to be, I've repaired my engine, next hit you take breaks the engine again. You sit there going, oh, and then you were stuck with the broken engine for the rest of the game. There's the Armour, by the way. If you want to Armour a Jagdtiger, you basically just shoot it in the superstructure area right here on both sides of the tank, and that is quite likely to detonate the poor old Armour of the old Jagdtiger. And that's where the crews sit too. But yeah, that's the Jagdtiger. That's the statistics of it. That's what I run for it. I'm now going to go show you some gameplay where you can watch this tank in action and see how it handles in game. Like I say, it is one of the cooler looking tanks in the game. It always has been. It just looks incredible. It is amazing to see in real life as well in the Bovington Tank Museum. You should go see that tank if you get a chance to get to the museum. I do hope you like the idea of this new series where we just show you that little bit, what it looks like in the museum or anywhere really. This is the reason I've started this series, is because basically if I find a tank out in the wild, I've got 7 videos coming up for this series, which is, you know, starting with the Jagdtiger. 7 videos what I took at the Bovington Tank Museum. But going forward, it means that I could carry it on next year if I was to go to Tank Fest, or if I randomly find a tank out in the wild and it's got some information, stuff like that that's interesting for people, we can go around it, show what it looks like in real life, and then show you it in game as well, because they do faithful recreations of these tanks that existed very, very well in this game. And yeah, they're just, oh, the Jagdtiger is amazing to see in real life. But yeah, so that's it for this part of the video. What I'm now going to do is send you over to the replays where you can go watch it in action. Enjoy them. So here we are in the replays with the Jagdtiger, and this first game we're against tier 10s and we are on highway. So naturally what we're going to do on highway is go to the ridgeline at D7, because that way we can shoot the people as they cross up the JK line, we can shoot them as they try to come out of the town, but also we're in a good position to shoot anyone that comes across the AB line as they try to attack our cap. It's just a good defensive location to take for any sort of tank destroyer, and even realistically any sort of lightly armoured tank in general, because naturally as a lightly armoured tank on this map, there's not much you can really go or do on this spawn, because you could say, well, I'll try and charge across the A line. Well, generally speaking, that doesn't go very well for you, because if anyone goes under the bridge at E5 and they have enough people sitting up at CB1, which tends to happen because a lot of their teams spawn up there, you tend to get absolutely shredded, and it starts to not go very well for you. Which means that, yeah, your best thing is to basically sit and wait in this defensive location on these ridge lines and wait for them to come to you, and then you can do quite a lot to dissuade them from attacking you. What you always want to do on this spawn in highway is basically win the town. You want to go win the town and then just come back to defend your base, because it's usually death trying to pull out of the town and go down the K line, because they have campers in their base, and then there's a lot of ground to cover before you will spot them and they will spot you the whole way. And it's the same for them trying to come up off the ridge at AB, and if you stop them taking the town, that means you can't be encircled on this ridge where we're currently sitting. As you can see, we're currently blind firing, and it seems to be going quite well. We got 2 blind shots in there because we could see shell tracers coming in. And we could see the shell tracers and we were like, okay, see, it just shot at us again. It's like, hello, are you trying to shoot at me, sir? Well, let me try and shoot you back. You see the shell tracers still flying, which means they're definitely still in that location. We end up hitting them again, because again, we're playing that, they're still shooting. You know, we're just playing that role of, okay, nothing's spotted, so I may as well watch for my own shots. And clearly, people are spotted behind me on the ridge, so something down there is shooting at them. So we're just keeping our eye out for their shells and see if we can shut them down. So we're up to 1,883 damage so far with 127 assistance. I'm thinking, right, do I want to go over on the Huntsman? It must have been that 5100 we were blind firing. There's the 279E, but he's not quite giving us the shot we wanted there, which is sad times. Would have been nice if he had. If we load the premium, we're guaranteed go through this 279E. With standard, we're not always guaranteed to go through, but at that sort of angle, we do go straight through the upper plate of the 279E with 270 of penetration that this vehicle has. And there we go. If we'd had premium, we might have actually gone through that one, but because we were firing standard, we didn't quite have the penetration to go through. He ends up trying to blind fire. Well, I say he was trying to blind fire. The possibility is there's actually someone spotted. It's either he shot the AMBT and missed by a country mile, or there's someone spotted behind me and he was trying to shoot them. But the 279E in the town ends up getting shut down. We've basically won the town. There is no one there. We're going to pop over and see if we can get a shot into the TVP, but we get instantly detected, and that makes me go, nope. Okay, and we end up taking a hit as well from the Leopard. That is at A6. But then we've seen that the TD and the heavy tank have pushed in. So you know what? If people push into where this STRV is and where that heavy tank is, the best thing to do is move over to this side and go on this side of the bridge, because from there you can start to shoot stuff like where the IS-32 is, and you can shoot the stuff that drops into the dip, because their safety point of pushing across the AB line is that dip where the artillery is. But it's not very safe if you're here in a Jagdtiger, you know what I'm saying? So if you do see people push straight into that dip to get safe from the people on the ridgeline where we were camping, you just move across to here, and then you're in the perfect position to stay safe from anything that might be trying to shoot you from the other side, but also be in the right place to shoot these guys. So we've managed to get a couple of shots towards this IS-32. We've not actually... Well, that was the first time we managed to pen it, but that's because we were actually shooting this destructible cover, so my team could deal with that IS-32. And you can see I just immediately go and shoot the destructible cover again. I have no qualms with wasting ammunition shooting these things. We switched to HE to try and destroy the building, because that's the one thing that happens. If you are trying to destroy destructible cover, fire HE. Because the HE has a splash radius, which means that it's going to splash larger areas and destroy more of the destructible cover. If it's going to take 2 or 3 shells to destroy 1 destructible cover with AP, the likelihood is with HE, you're more than likely to destroy it in 1, maybe 2. You have to aim for the right spot, though, so the splash hits both sections of the destructible part of the cover. So we get lucky there. That was poorly led. That was poorly aimed. We actually fired where the building was that the ISU was getting behind, but we got lucky, and the shell flew true and penetrated the ISU-152. We're up to 3.6 thousand damage so far with 378 assistance, and we've done quite well to defend the base and defend this ridgeline from the incoming enemy attack. Realistically, this has been the sort of perfect play highway from our defensive side, right? They've pushed well, they've pushed to the spots that they should do, but they've just not managed to break this camp. And we managed to win the town, which stopped them being able to encircle us on this ridgeline, and then thus we were just able to keep farming them with impunity. Plus we had people in the right spot, like the medium tank that pushed over to A9, which stops them, again, pushing up the AB quite as easily. Me dropping back into that position at E0, which makes a different angle to be able to shoot and attack the IS-32 from, the STRV. It's just the way that Highway is. Highway's, I don't know. From the spawn that we got, I find Highway a little bit boring because I don't think the spawns are right. And by that, it used to be with Highway that their team all spawned in their cap at J2. These days, they spawn at G2 and at J2, which means they have, and they do, get to the corner at A1 far before you ever will from our spawn, which means that pushing across this ravine here that we've just pushed across here is death. It's just death most of the time, and especially since they get to the bridge really quickly as well, it completely cuts off any attack that you can go. I'm not saying that it doesn't always, you know, I'm not saying that you can't make that push work, but it's like 90% of the time it's not going to work. And back in the old days of Highway, I'm talking probably like 2017, right? Or whatever, 2018. You used to be one of the valid pushers was in a fast tank pushing across to A1, B1, getting to the buildings and side scraping off of there, and you had a bit of a brawl going off on that one line. And if you had TDs, they could cover you. But now you just don't reach it, and you get, most of the time, you get farmed as you're trying to climb, which is a little bit sad. But we're finished with the victory anyway. Besides Highway, we're finished with the victory. 4.1k damage, 483 assistance. The Confederate, the second class, 1298 base XP. A pretty nice game there for the Jagdtiger on Highway. Fairly average game for it, really. And it was the perfect scenario for you to be able to defend in it, get to your position, and then just keep working over with this absolutely fantastic 128mm gun. Because that is the one thing that the Jagdtiger has always had. It's one of those weird ones for me, actually. Because this is the same gun, naturally, that is on the Jagdtiger that's on the Waffle-Panzer IV, which is the turreted, German tank destroyer at tier 9 in the tech tree. This gun is utterly phenomenal for me on the Jagdtiger, always has been, incredibly reliable, DPM's amazing, I loved it. The Waffle-Panzer IV, however, using the same gun, for me, it's not derpy, right? But it always felt like it missed, and I got really irritated, which is why I always love the big gun, which is really weird, because the big gun is derpier, but for some reason it always clicked with me. But using the gun on the Waffle-Panzer IV, this same 128, it just never felt as good as it did on the Jagdtiger, which was just always a bit odd. It's just a weird one. It's probably personal preference, right? But I love the Derp gun on the Waffle-Panzer IV. It's a fantastic tank. But besides the point, this gun is phenomenal. This tank is pretty solid these days, even still, when you play it how you need to be playing it, and you can have a lot of fun with it. I mean, this gun, oh my goodness me, like, this gun is just, it's so good. It is such a good tank destroyer gun. And we'll start the game with a nice shot there into the WZ-132A that shut down that Chinese tier 9 light tank, because we actually managed to track him and our friends finished him off. We're up to that 519 damage, and we're just waiting for this E5. We're playing that tank destroyer role, right? We're waiting. The E5 spotted by the light tank. we're just waiting for him to make the mistake. And there you go. Oh, through the eye of a needle, straight through his side. Just waiting for the reload. Hopefully we can pen and track it. That's what I'm kind of hoping for, so we can get more assistance. But he actually gets shut down by the huntsman before he manages to get to another position there. The M48A2 is trying to drive out, and I'm thinking, come on, M48A2, give me another shot. We end up firing at him, but there is, like, ridge lines and a load of dragon's teeth there, which makes it a bit harder for me to hit him. But he keeps on driving. I'm like, okay, sir, thank you. We put a shot straight through the side of the M48A2, which tracks him in place, gets me a little bit more assistance. And, yeah, we wanted to move up to this position here where we are now, but I was always keeping my eye on that M48A2, because you never know. Because you really never know. He may have just kept driving and giving me free damage. As we drive up through the middle, though, by the way, I'm like, oh my goodness me, what is this? Oh, it's a Centurion. Hello, Centurion. We put a big shot into the Centurion, and as we turn our side to get the shot into the Centurion, naturally, we get double tapped by the VZ55, and there goes 1,000 hit points in the blink of an eye. We've made a mistake, which is pain. But yeah, we're up to 2.1k damage, which pretty solid start until we got double tapped by the VZ55. I just didn't expect the Centurion to be where he was. He completely caught me off guard. And again, I didn't think the VZ55 in that would actually push like they did. And yeah, we got caught out. This SDRVS1 though, 594, that's quite a nice roll. So we got 560. This SDRVS1, I'm not sure what he's doing, but, you know, we're going to take the two-shotting of a tier 8 tank destroyer there. Good night, Mr. S1. Up to 3.1k damage, and I'm just thinking, what do I want to do next? I kind of want to poke through the turrets here, the destroyed turrets, to try and get some pressure up on this Jagdtiger. So we poke through. Hello, Mr. Jagdtiger. Put a shot straight through the side of his superstructure, because we're never going to struggle to pen that with 276 pen. Now looking for the shot into the VZ55, but this is dangerous. We're struggling. Turretless TD problems. My driving problems everywhere. He doesn't really want to take the hit. We get as close as possible. I was really hoping there that he would possibly bounce, but thankfully he'd rushed his first shot when he came down after me, hit the turret, and then he only had one shot left, so we managed to get a big shot into that VZ55, and he got shut down by the FE215B. Now waiting for the Standard B. Thank you, Mr. Standard B, for making the mistake. We shut him down, and I'm watching this Waffle E100, sorry, going, oh no, that guy's going to come after us, and it's not going to go well. The FE215B ends up taking a hit from him. He puts a shot in, but here's a one-shot, so if we can get the shot, there we go. We managed to shut down the German Tier 10 tank destroyer there for our third kill of the game with 4.9k damage. Maybe we can get a shot at this Carnarvon if he drives out sideways on, because that'd be not nice. And, on cue, thank you, sir. He completely ignored us, which gave us the free shot to shut down the British Tier 8 heavy tank. Now I want to put the pressure up on the last three tanks. We know where the artillery is. He's spotted, but he's got other things on his mind since there is a light tank circling around him. The Waffle E100 in the middle is a possibility for me to get a shot, because all I've got to do is traverse through these streets, and I'll be able to get after him. You can see, even with that power to weight, we are still managing to just about hit 35-36, and here we are. We've managed to get around the flanking times on the AT-15. Realistically, with 276 pen, I didn't have to go for the cupola on the AT-15. I could have just gone for the right-hand side of the superstructure. I still would have gone through. But we finished with the victory. 5 kills, 5.2k damage, 997 assistance. The ace tanker, the high caliber, the Confederate, with the 1902 base XP. A really nice game there for the Jagdtiger, which, for a tier 9 tank destroyer, is still pretty solid in game. And I really do hope you like the new series that we've got. Like I say, there's only 7 of it so far, and then maybe it'll be updated the next time I find a tank out in the wilds, you know? So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!